Hola, gringas, and welcome to
Gringos are us.
Expats with a Plan.
I'm Mark,
I'm Gina.
and this week we're going to wrap up our first full year expense-wise here in Mexico. Coming up next.
Welcome back. So now we are going to reveal, after being in Mexico for a full year and staying in 7 different cities throughout the country, what did it cost between each city? How do they stack up against each other?
We had to get a little creative because all things aren't equal. What we're going to look at here is we've got all of our expenses broken down into pesos, but at the end of the month, we're going to give it to you also in US dollars because the fluctuation rate and everything else, it's sort of hard to keep everything on an even basis to be able to compare because the fluctuation rate when we got to Querétaro at the beginning of the year, 20 pesos. Then towards the end of the year, it was down in the 16s. So that's 20% difference in loss right there. So it's sort of all we can do is give you the numbers as they are.
Well, I did try to keep the exchange rate difference what it was historically at the moment we stayed in that location.
No, but I'm just explaining that's,
right.
It does have an effect on there.
Mm-hmm.
When you look back, sometimes you're going to go, wow, they got a better deal here. Well, yeah, because our dollar was buying more there. The other part of it is we actually, when we were in Querétaro, we paid rent, not Airbnb, because we were actually renting for the 2 months we were there.
Yeah.
So to sort of approximate that cost over the course of the year, the only way we could come up with was to cut Airbnb in half.
Yep.
And we do that because most of the time Airbnb takes about 50%.
About 50% because they charge both the guest and the host fees. And one of our hosts did indicate that she lost almost half of the money to Airbnb. So, and she may have been exaggerating a little, we don't know. But I do know that we pay a fee to Airbnb and they pay a fee to Airbnb. So we cut it about half of what the actual listed rate is.
That way we're sort of giving everybody an approximation of what rent in that area probably would go for to the best of our knowledge.
I do occasionally go on Inmuebles and Marketplace and I look to see what sort of rents are being offered up. Even today, as we make this video, we just looked all through Querétaro and we got an idea of what the rents are normally cost.
Yeah.
So we think this is a fair estimation.
It's just a way of trying to put everything on an even footing. So with that being said, let's look at the year in review.
All right, now you're going to notice us occasionally looking over to the side here because I've got a huge spreadsheet. Like I'm the spreadsheet queen. It's just the way I am.
Well, and let's be for real. Been a lot of mezcal and tequila that have been consumed over the course of the year. So to think that we would have all these numbers right at the top of our brain, not happening.
Speak for yourself, mister.
Well.
Okay, so we started in Querétaro. As Mark said, we rented. We paid $800 a month rent. We were also responsible for the electricity and the gas. So our utilities came to a whopping $66 US per month.
Yep.
That puts Querétaro at $866 per month for rent and utilities. The rest of it, we're not really going to go over the food prices because food is food, how much you eat out, things like that.
And all of that has been covered. If you're interested in a particular location, the videos for each one of them has already been out there.
Yes.
So if you want to go, how much was it for San Miguel versus how much was it for San Luis Potosí? All the videos are there. This is just sort of a recap of what it costs us.
I'm going to put a link up here to the cost of living playlist. So you can choose which location you are more interested in for a deeper dive. He's still looking for these links. So Querétaro, again, it was strict rent and utilities, $866 US per month. The next place we stayed was San Miguel de Allende. And we went into San Miguel expecting it to be one of the most expensive places we were ever going to live, simply because it is an expat haven.
Wasn't the case.
This is not the case.
No.
This has been a very pleasant surprise. San Miguel de Allende, with the rent, would be $817 per month. That's an Airbnb rate cut in half. And the Airbnb included the utilities. That was a very, very nice three-level home.
3-level, 3-bedroom. Everybody had their own bath. I mean, it was
a lovely rooftop patio, jacuzzi on the patio. It was a very, very nice home. I would live in that house. Maybe as you get older, the stairs might be a bit of a pain after a while, but it was a lovely home.
Yeah, they'd have to do something with that hill first, though.
Oh, the hill was bad.
Yeah.
The hill killed us. Our next adventure led us to San Luis Potosí, which was not even in our itinerary.
No, this was a last minute. We changed and went. We were going to go to Guanajuato City, and we went. You know what? We're going to go to SLP, and we were not just pleasantly surprised on it. We were blown away. I mean, SLP, San Luis Potosí, more than welcomed us, and it had really some of the best conditions all the way around.
We were really happy in that location.
Yeah.
The neighborhood was great. The apartment was not bad, albeit it was very small and it was up a lot of flights of stairs. But that neighborhood was a great neighborhood.
And the churros.
And the churros.
And the churros.
I was Zamora. Got to get the churros. Well, that apartment in US dollars, which it included utilities because it was Airbnb all inclusive, that would have run us about $700 a month. Think about that for a minute. Rent at $700 a month. Not too bad. I'm
glad it was only 1 month, though, because carrying a Garifon up 49 steps, that was location, not on SLP. We are definitely going to be going back to San Luis Potosí just to give ourselves a second look, because some of the ones that out of the first year, there are a couple of cities that have made us go, you know what, we need to take a stronger look here just to reaffirm what we're thinking. So
sometimes you got to go back and do a second run through, maybe a different part of town, a different time of the year.
And part of that, like Querétaro, we were in Zakia. Well, we loved Querétaro, but we were in Zakia, which meant we had to come down the mountain all the way into Querétaro, and that was a pain. But we had a place to land. Thank you, Roddy and Landy. We appreciate that very much. But we want to be a little bit closer to the centro when we go back and view it the second time. So,
well, after we left San Luis Potosí, we headed south into some hot oven weather in El Tejar. Basically, right outside of Boca del Rio in Veracruz.
But a beautiful drive.
Beautiful drive. We were in a luxury home.
Oh, yeah.
This house was so huge. It was definitely way more house than we needed. It was essentially a vacation for us.
Well, we figured that you weren't even going to be employed. We thought that you were going to go on the contract. So it was sort of a, nice big pool. We were going to just sort of chill, look at the river. And you kept working, and I chilled and looked at the river, and
the swimming pool was like warm bath water. It was 45 degrees Celsius with like 65 to 70% humidity. But that house was beautiful, and the family who basically adopted us were wonderful.
Yes.
That particular house, I'm really surprised because we had to run the air conditioning. Let me tell you, we had to run the air. So I know that CFE bill must have been through the roof. And they did not, as far as I could tell, have any solar panels on the roof of the house. So I don't know what that electricity was costing there. But that Airbnb, if we converted it to potentially rent with utilities included, was only a little over $1,200 a month.
I got a feeling that number might be a little skewed with the utilities.
I think so too. I think the CFE bill would have been higher.
Because, running the filter for the pool and, and running the air conditioning, because that had southern facing windows. And I mean, we're talking a wall of glass.
The sun baked all day.
And you'd sit in there and it would just be like, whoa.
And we tried to be very conservative when at all possible. We turned the air off downstairs when we went to bed, but then the air was on in the bedroom. And then the air was off during the day in the bedroom, but the air was on in sometimes the kitchen and the dining room.
Yeah.
So, we really don't know what the electric bill was there. But if we just went by the Airbnb rate, we're looking at a little over $1,200 a month.
And phenomenal internet.
The best internet we have encountered.
That was
So
some
far.
strong internet there.
It was pretty impressive. All right, so we left El Tejar and ventured over to the Yucatan Peninsula and landed in Valladolid. Valladolid, I really like that town.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lovely town.
Yes.
I wish it wasn't such a long drive to get to Cancun or Mérida from that town. So if I wanted anything bigger than what Valladolid offered, it's a little bit of a pain. But
yeah, I mean,
it's a lovely town though. And we had a very, very well situated Airbnb.
That was the size of the living room from the house we just came from. The entire Airbnb.
Yeah, but
I mean, it wasn't a tiny home, but I mean, we went from 4 bedrooms to 1 bedroom. Hot water to no hot water, full blown kitchen.
there were a lot of things about this Airbnb that were substandard, but the price, I believe, was the price that was set because it typically is used for vacationers, not long-term rent.
It's great for somebody who wanted to do a week or less in one location because you're right across from the cenote. You had the restaurants there. The Mercado was literally right down the street. It was a 5-minute walk into Centro.
Yep.
I mean, you could not beat the location.
Location was perfect.
And to be totally honest, it probably was the best bed that we slept in all of the Airbnbs for 2023.
That's true.
That was one comfortable bed, had a little dippy pool, and that dippy pool was the size of basically a jacuzzi, but it stayed cold, contrary to what that big pool in El Tejar that was bathwater. So there was a lot of good things about it, and it was a pleasant little home, just it wasn't big.
The rest of the furniture wasn't good. It was hard. It was disposable furniture.
Oh, yeah.
There was no toilet seat in one of the bathrooms. Like, it's an Airbnb. Put a toilet seat in there. But otherwise, a fantastic home. Also, one of the most expensive per square footage that we have stayed in.
Oh, good God, yeah.
That rental in US dollars per month would have been almost $1,300 a month. And it was a small footprint. Again, we only ran the air conditioner in the main living room / kitchen area, only when it got hot. And we ran the air conditioner only in the bedroom at night. So I don't know what the CFE bill would have been like there.
I don't think it would have been too terribly bad because there's not a whole lot to cool.
There's not a whole lot of house there.
I mean,
so
and the gas bill couldn't have been high because
there was no gas.
There was no hot water, and we only cooked a few times because Pollo Row was right down the street, and it was actually
we probably ate out more there than anywhere else.
Percentage-wise, yeah.
Percentage-wise,
we'd go get a full chicken for 140 pesos, and it'd be at least 2 meals for us. So
sure. So we left Valladolid and headed to Mérida. We spent 3 months in Mérida because Mérida was definitely high up on the list of we want to check this out for real. Mérida actually ended up being the most expensive place we stayed. Now, granted, we stayed in a colonial home that it was recently renovated, but the rate for that home was not really much higher than anything else we saw around Mérida. It was very similar in pricing.
Yeah, and if you look at it as price per square foot, we got a good deal.
Yeah.
Then you throw in the consideration of location and proximity to Centro, and we really got a good deal because that was a 15-minute walk through San Juan, and then we were right there in the square, and
we were close to La Ermita, and we were close to San Sebastian.
We had the Chedraui was right down the street, so that wasn't bad. We had a little El Gato named Cielo, who kind of temporarily became our adopted cat. The pool was nice. The pool was really nice. Yeah.
Despite the fact that it had no filtration at all, and they only had a pool team come in once a week to vacuum, that pool was clean.
Yep.
And it was really nice to have. And we left one bedroom open and ran the air conditioner in one bedroom, and it literally cooled off just about the rest of the kitchen dining area.
Yeah.
I don't know if running more than one air conditioner would have really jacked up the CFE a lot. Probably.
I don't know what was needed.
In that location, we did have to pay the electricity.
Mm-hmm.
We're finding out in almost all the Yucatan locations, you will also have to pay the electricity if you are there for longer than a week or two.
Most of them are a month.
The 1 month stays typically require that you also pay electricity. Now, the reason they do this is because they get a lot of visitors there who don't understand that you can't leave your air running all day long because it's expensive.
Yeah.
So in this particular case, with what was the Airbnb rate, and we can assume would be half that for rent, and we added in the $111 per month that we spent in electricity, that came out to $1,511 a month for rent and utilities.
Mm-hmm. And that was a bigger house. I mean, it was a fairly big house all the way around.
It was a corner home.
Yeah. It wasn't as big as the one in Progreso, but the one in Progreso was, short of El Tejar, was easily the second largest home that we were in. But Mérida would have been probably the third largest out of all of them. And, but it had the high ceilings and everything else. And it was a very comfortable 3 months that we spent there.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Was it hot? Yeah.
Yeah. It was hot.
Yeah.
It was hot.
Yeah.
And the air conditioner did a good job.
Yep.
And even with the air conditioner running, we only spent $111 a month in electricity. Now, in Mexico, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But compared to the next place,
that was a bargain.
So our next stay and final stay of the year was Progreso for 2 months. We had a very large, much larger than anticipated, spacious Airbnb with some of the most comfortable furniture we've ever experienced overall.
Yes.
It was only a block and a half away from the ocean. It was literally a block from the end of the Malecón.
It was very well stocked. I mean,
yes,
all the appliances that you needed were there. The cookware was all very good, and it was there. It was very well set up and everything else. And the only downside we could say was the internet wasn't that great there.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, the pool was fantastic.
Well, the internet wasn't good because they had a modem that was 7 years old, and it needed to be replaced.
Can you say dial-up? 7 years old.
But they did fix that.
Of course,
on our way out.
Yeah, they fixed it because the owners were
owners were on their way in, so they upgraded it.
Yeah.
Well, surprisingly, now the rent there wouldn't have been so bad, but we were surprised by an electric bill that was double what we paid in Mérida. And we didn't really run the air conditioners that much. I can honestly say that during the day, the one that was downstairs did not run all day, did not run all the time. It only ran when it got really, really, really hot. And that wasn't that often because we were there in like November.
I mean,
Right.
comparable to Mérida, where that thing ran
Oh yeah, and Mary,
basically 24/7 because we were running the same one that was in our bedroom, and we used to open the doors and let that filter out into the living area
yeah,
because there wasn't one in the living area. So, that one ran literally almost 24/7.
yeah,
In Progreso, I would say the downstairs one, and I'm not even talking about the nighttime when it was off because we were upstairs. That one in the living room probably ran 65% of the daylight hours.
maybe.
Maybe.
That's generous.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe.
just saying that's,
And the one upstairs only ran when we were sleeping. So put those two together, and you have just about 100 to 110% of an air conditioner running. And yet, our electricity bill there was $194 a month. Now, we know what we spent in electricity in Mérida because we actually paid the CFE bill.
Mm-hmm.
And then we took the CFE bill with us on our last month there and paid half because it was just one additional month.
Right.
Well, yeah, so it was a little bit of a shock. But with the electricity in Progreso at $194 per month, the rent in Progreso for that very large, spacious house was $1,282 US. And that's not so bad.
No,
But it is kind of on the higher end of some of the other
but
properties.
you're talking beachfront and
Yeah.
beach area and that. So
Right.
that just tends to be what it is, And so, all things considered, I mean, we came down here going, Mérida was going to be high on our list, which is why we booked it for 3 months. And while we totally loved all the culture and the food and everything else that came with Mérida, the price was shocking.
The prices were shocking.
Yeah.
And we're not going to lie about that. And it's not like we're not used to spending that much, but part of the appeal of living in Mexico is escaping some of that inflation. Unfortunately, the Yucatan Peninsula has the highest inflation rate in all of Mexico right now. And we can understand why it's hurting the locals. It was a little bit of a shock, a sticker shock.
Yeah,
In that area.
was.
Even in Progreso, they're both higher than a lot of the other places we've been. So we understand why it's disconcerting. And it was a surprise, and it opened our eyes to what we're looking at our budgets over the year. Surprisingly, San Miguel really wasn't that expensive compared to everything else.
No, it really wasn't.
And San Luis Potosí ended up being the least expensive place that we stayed.
Yep.
While Mérida was the most expensive.
That's the way it goes,
But this is why you do this. This is part of that research.
Absolutely. I mean, we thought we had put a lot of this, and we did. We spent a lot of time putting all this together before we got down here. But inflation has dramatically changed the pricing as to what we originally had forecast before coming down here. And we're seeing that every month, every place we change, it's, doing a little step up, a little more, another step up, and another step up.
Yep.
And, coming up on 2024, we've got, we're going to be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, wow. It's going to be very,
Is it
apropos.
7?
It's going to be 7 for the month for 2024. So
Yeah, look at that.
we got 7 again for 2024. So when we do this again in January of 2025, we'll have another 7 places that we're going to be able to go boom, 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 and give you all that pricing as well.
So let's, I guess we could probably mention this since we have 7 cities. So we have Querétaro, San Miguel de Allende, San Luis Potosí, El Tejar, or the Boca del Rio region, Valladolid, Mérida, and Progreso. I would say there's 2 on that list that have a very strong possibility
I agree.
permanent residence.
I would agree.
And at the moment, I'm going to say it's going to be Querétaro or San Luis out of that list of 7 so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about the rental and utility costs in general, where we think that is with a normalized formula. I'm going to say, as I look across the board at the food expenses, we pretty much spent just about the same amount of money every month in Progreso, in Mérida, in San Miguel de Allende, and Querétaro. It was very steady across the board. It didn't seem like groceries cost more one place than another. And I would say medical expenses are similar. The personal services were similar. It really just depends on what you do.
And I mean, restaurants, that is, there's no way to put a comparison on the restaurants because, in Querétaro, yes, we went to the Sonora Grill, we went to 1810, we went to a lot of higher end places because we were excited to be in Mexico and we got to spend some time with some really good friends and all that. And, other places, you look at even though we ate out a lot in Valladolid, we only went to one high-end restaurant. The rest of it was $140 peso chicken. Or sometimes we splurged and went to the 200 peso chicken. But, it really was, it's a matter of what the type of restaurants that you go to. So you can't really compare restaurant costs.
No. So overall, though, I mean, really, the food is about the same across the board. It really comes down to rent. It comes down to rent. And as we said, San Luis Potosí had the least and Mérida had the most. And it really comes down to location when you talk about that. Central Highlands tended to cost less.
Yes.
Yucatan tended to cost more.
And the other part of that, to be honest, is what your needs and desires are. I mean, that can greatly affect.
We're a little bit of high maintenance in some ways. We need to have a place to park our car off the street. We need to have a king bed. We need to be at least walking distance to some things.
Well, and we got to have good Wi-Fi.
Excellent Wi-Fi. Yeah.
I mean, there's certain considerations.
If we don't have excellent Wi-Fi, we need roof access so that I can put a dish on the roof.
Mark's getting too old to play Spider-Man going upside the wall.
I mean, if you don't need those things, you're going to save money. It's just you'll spend less.
And so those are the types of things that can skew it. I mean, some of the ones from El Tejar on, we had a pool in every location. Why? Because we knew it was going to be hot. We chose that. And some of the rents or Airbnb costs reflect that. So that's just is what it is.
And we hope that you found that informative and eye-opening.
Yes.
We will be coming to you. I believe we're going to have another video coming up pretty soon on our Airbnb experience that wasn't. That's a video all of its own. That'll be one you can look forward to.
But that wraps up the money for 2023. Hope that has helped you get a little bit of somewhat of a grasp as to if you're looking to do it, what you can expect money-wise.
Thanks again for watching us and supporting our channel. We appreciate it greatly. We are Gringos Are Us.
Expats with a plan.
Remember, we're doing it. You can too.
And right up there are some videos you might want to check out.
Hasta la próxima.
Adios. Still don't think they're there.